Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today we actually have to talk about an upcoming executive order that is being drafted right now by President Biden and his team on artificial intelligence. I think this is a big one, an important one, but it also opens up a can of worms. Now, this is coming from Elias Grohl of Cyberscoop for a backdrop here, and here's what's going on. The Biden administration is expediting work to develop an executive order to address risks posed by artificial intelligence and provide guidelines to federal agencies on how it might be used. Now, that's according to Arati Prabhakar, that is the director of the White House Office of Science, Technology, and Policy, talking to Cyberscoop at the DEF CON conference basically this past week. Now, as generative AI tools, and we're all know all about LLMs and all of that, like ChatGPT, have become widely available, Prabhakar said that President Biden has grown increasingly concerned about the technology and that the administration is working rapidly to craft an executive order that will provide guidance to federal agencies on how to best use artificial intelligence. Quote, "It's not just the normal process accelerated, it's a completely different process." Now, Prabhakar added that she's been encouraged by the urgency that federal agencies basically have for artificial intelligence and how they're treating it. Quote, "They know it's serious, they know what the potential is, and so their department agencies are really stepping up." Now, the White House recently announced a set of voluntary safety commitments from leading AI companies, and a forthcoming executive order is expected to provide additional guidance on how to deploy the technology safely. This week, the White House and basically the Defense Advanced Projects Research Agency, also known as DARPA, announced that they would launch a challenge aimed at using basically AI to defend computer systems and discover vulnerabilities in open source software. And quite frankly, I think that's a really good thing. But putting basically a leash or a harness around artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to government agencies, I think is an excellent thing. We recently understood that the FBI admitted openly and other intelligence agencies that they were buying our data through third-party brokers, thus basically circumventing warrants. In other words, they had to go get a court order, and they weren't. They were simply buying it from third-party brokers that was readily available, and therefore did not have to get these warrants, as I just said. So this is, I think, something good. Artificial intelligence has the ability to sift through this, make decisions, and analyze all of this. And as much information as we give the government, whether it's tax season, you get a passport, you get a driver's license, all the biometrics that go with all those kinds of things. This, I think, is an important step in this. But one of the things that I think is going to be very interesting to see what happens here is the Biden administration has been on a tear. If you follow me, you'd know this, basically issuing executive orders or signing bills into law as it relates to cybersecurity and the security of infrastructure in general, which I think is an excellent thing. However, one of those interesting things is we have a whole bunch of artificial intelligence that can be used negatively outside of government reach on the free and open platforms like Facebook, Twitter, now X, et cetera, et cetera. And by virtue of that, that is, I think, something that is incredibly damaging. We already have a problem with misinformation and disinformation. We have people that, quite frankly, believe blatant lies in the world because of disinformation and misinformation that confirms their bias. Artificial intelligence is set to drop a supercharger into this, and by virtue of that, as I've mentioned and reported on before, the ethics teams are being cut at Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever the hell they want to call themselves. And this is a big, big problem because we have less people policing this, and artificial intelligence about to turn this up to 11, able to rapidly publish multiple articles, all coinciding with each other, able to argue with humans, like humans, or very close to humans, to reinforce points that essentially give somebody a false sense of reality, thinking, well, wow, everybody's fact-checked it except me, maybe. These are problems that we are really going to need to address. And while this executive order is not going that far, it is a start to, let's say, possibly curtailing, the government's overreach using artificial intelligence, thus protecting constitutional rights. But we still have a problem on the other side of that coin, which is essentially, all of this disinformation and artificial intelligence being leveraged against us by foreign governments on open and free platforms. And I think that's something that we need to talk about more and more. So I'm a big fan that this is coming down the pipe, but quite frankly, we've got a lot more work to do, and I think you know it as well. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.